Alright, I started this video before. Hopefully everything isn't like too loud because there's a big volume discrepancy between this video and last video, or all the other videos before. Or at least that's how it's showing up on my screen. I'm seeing a bunch of bigger waves than I usually do, and that makes me nervous, right? Hold on. But anyway, yeah, I want to make a video that, uh, you know, just to reaffirm, reaffirm sentiment and maybe be reassuring to people around me. And this is sparked by I bought a custom domain and I have a website. All right, I've had a website. I use Google I use Google I use Google Sites a lot because a lot of the stuff like I write with Google Docs and everything. So it's just really easy and accessible for me to put things into Google Sites, and yeah, I can embed right from YouTube. It's really quickly, and if I want to alter code, I can, like, I can change dimensions, things like that. It's really easy to do. Yeah, you don't need to know a lot of coding. Like, I mean, there are certain things in sites that I'm sure would require like more technical proficiency. Embedding docs, I've never done that before. So, I just use the placeholders for that, and that's really useful. But um yeah, I mean, as far as the other stuff goes, it's really not too terribly difficult to understand. Um and I I've had a lot of success, and I've built something I like using. I think it speaks for itself. I think it's manageable. And yeah, so I have a website. It's going to be celestineofthestars.net, www.celestineofthestars.net. And yeah, but I wanted to make this video just to say I'm not trying to sell you anything. Um yeah, there is a point in the future where I am going to publish books, and I'm going to publish books, I'm going to publish novels, I'm going to publish uh articles, things like that. And well, but yeah, when I start publishing, I'm going to need to do things for money. It sucks that translation and everything is what I'm good at, because I really do have a passion for it. And I've gotten pretty proficient at speaking some languages and everything. But I am going to need to do stuff like that for money eventually, because everyone needs to make money. But as far as this YouTube channel and all the things I have created and a lot of the things I will create, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I have my music on streaming services because they provide me analytics, and I think analytics are really important, to see, just to see how many people are consuming the media I make. Um, uh, yeah, just how many people are consuming the media I make. Uh, if something has a lot of attention compared to something else, I can check it out. Maybe see what makes that separate. Think about that. You know, so yeah, I really like analytics. It's accessible. They're easy to use. Things like Spotify, and yeah. Ideally, I would like to have my own program that has all my music. It plays everything, and have that be completely free to use. But um, until the future, when I can work with a group of hire a group of programmers, people that are much more well versed in technology than I am. Until I can do that, I just I don't really think that's realistic right now, and that sucks to say, because I would like everyone to have equal and infinite access to the stuff I make. Um, but yeah, the reason I'm not trying to sell you anything like with my writing or like my music, the reason I'm not trying to encourage you to actually buy my music is, one, I'll if if you reached out to me on like Instagram and you're like, uh, if you reached out to me on Instagram and you were like, hey, I really like your song, or I really like your album, insert song album title here, I'd send you it. Like, there is absolutely no reason to pay for my music. On iTunes, I don't know what the prices actually are, but I always put like low, or one of the lowest options you can do for pricing your music. Whether it goes up for that, I don't like. Hold on, I can check. Yeah, so a lot of albums and everything, they like cap at like $5. I set them myself to be lower than that, but iTunes doesn't like that. I don't know why that is. But yeah, there's absolutely no reason to pay for my music. Um yeah, and then writing's the same way. I'm not like a professional author. Like, when I do writing in the future, if I get anything published, um that'll just be for outreach. Unfortunately, bookstores and everything, they're going to charge, and publishers are going to charge, and I don't really want any say in that. Um, I don't have a press, so I can't really print books myself. So, I mean, there is that exchange of service. The stuff I write, uh, I'll publish it online. Like, I'll publish it online for free. If physical copies are different, you know. Physical copies, I think, generally are, um, there's a lot of value in having a physical copy of something. So there is that. But as for like vinyls and everything, like, I would like to get some of those things pressed, because I know people that are out there that like my music and everything, and I'm sure they would appreciate a physical copy. But as for books and everything, books, novels, novellas, articles, all that stuff, and my music, I'm going to keep that published online. But yeah, I don't know if I was in the middle. Every time I pause, I like forget what I was gonna say. So if I like trail off, just leave it as is. Yeah, I don't listen to these things over again. That doesn't happen. Um, I keep a low fidelity thing for everything I do. I think the most perfectionist I am is with like writing itself. I try not to use a lot of contractions, apostrophes. I have a lot of revisions in my head that I'd like to do to the English language, but they'll never stick. We are so entrenched in our language that that's totally okay. But yeah, I have revisions I'd like to do. I'd like to get rid of contractions completely. Get rit of the apostrophe usage. But anyway, yeah, CelestineoftheStars.net. Everything I make that I want to be seen by people is going to be on there. I have a biography section where you can learn about me. I have, I have links to my pages, links to my music through various mediums, and my actual writings themselves, and I have a lot of links. I have a lot of various sub pages, little subgroups, and I don't really mind that. I want it to be easy to navigate and easy to read. But yeah, so there's that. What was I gonna say? For fiction writing, I have decided I'm going to use a pen name. My name is Evan Button, right? Not too fond of sticking that on a lot of things. Like, for academic writing, I have to, right? Like, for my dissertation, when I get to grad school, and things like that, I'm going to have to, use my actual name. But for fiction, I've decided on Ioannis. Ioannis Lucius Alemanus Albionis, right? Adjacent to that, I have Hellenic, like I have a Greek version written, and that's just all homage to, antiquity, Latin culture. I wanted to choose a name that had relevance to me, and something that was also like universal in the Eurosphere, right? And I chose the Eurosphere because most of what I write and research is based on, things that go on in Europe, right? I can take something from like Latin culture. Latin culture's dead. It's been usurped by, Italian, right? Ecclesiastical Latin doesn't really count. Now there are people that learn Latin and things like that, but in terms of a widespread culture, there isn't really a modern Latin culture. We just study what was. And so by using a Latin name, um, by using a Latin name, I'm on the nose with the European part, the European and Western culture part. But I mean, it's always going to be that way. I don't appropriate anything. I choose a name I chose a name with meaning relevant to me as a person, but also my interests. Now the mesh there between me as a person, my interests, there is some entanglement there, but yeah. I chose Albionus because a lot of my ancestors were from, not ancestors, I guess, a lot of early generation Button family and my other descendants. A lot of them, they came from the British Isles, right? So I didn't want to be partial to Wales or England, so I chose Albionis, which references the main island, Great Britain, and it comes from something meaning white, because the White Cliffs of Dover. That's what the Romans would have seen when they sailed across the Channel, right? They would have seen the White Cliffs of Dover. But yeah, I wanted Albionis is the genitive case too, so I didn't want it to be grounded too much in like nomenclature with me, but I also wanted it to have some respect for those who came before me and my family and everything. So there's that. And Alamanos, which is what I'm going to keep it short to. Alamanos is references the Alemanni tribe, which eventually became the term for like Germany or German in most of the Romance languages, and Arabic, I think Turkish as well. Yeah, but Tedesco, it's Tedesco, German in Italian, but the other ones I'm pretty sure it's the same, like l'Allemand, then l'Allemand. Yeah, I think so. I think Portuguese is Alemán too. But yeah, so yeah, I chose that. I'm just gonna keep it short to Alemanos, like at the top of the page or whatever. It'll just be Alemanos, and then yeah, that's where the Germanophilia comes from. So I wanted to put that in there, but yeah, I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to use a genitive case of like Germania. So I didn't want to be Germanie. Same thing with like Cambria, which is or Cambriae, which is of Wales, and then Angliae, which is of Anglia, England. So yeah, just I wanted that part to be from like geography instead of culture related, which I guess Germania would be because Germania is more so a concept of that region. It's not like Prussian or like Oldenburgish or whatever. It's like the concept of Germania is that region. which eventually is like one of these things that Otto von Bismarck Otto von Bismarck would use to persuade these kingdoms to join the German, North German Confederation and unite Germany, where it's like Germania or Deutschland. Deutschland is this. It's as much a concept and as much a unification thing as it is actual. As it should be an actual entity. So, but yeah, I'm not from Germany. That part of the reason I'll be on this is in the family name spot because it is reference. Because me myself, I'm American, right? I'll always be an American. Yeah, I'll always be an American. I'll always be an American at heart, and I'll always love America. But as much as that is true, there's also I have a lot of love for where my family came from, and just a lot of love for the earth in general. But yeah, and it never even a thought crossed to there was never even a thought crossing my mind to do something with like Nordic runes or anything, because one, I only have one set of ancestors that I keep using that word. I only have one set of descendants who come from a Jitborg, which is like a Jitborg. I think it's in the south. I'm pretty sure it's southwest. Maybe it's not Malmö, but yeah, it's more west than like Stockholm. I don't know if I said that right. No, I think it's just Stockholm. But anyway. Yeah, so, I mean, that kind of would have been disingenuous, and everyone used to speak Latin. So it's not like if I chose something Swedish or German, only the Germanophone world, like in that little corner, or in not corner, in the, Central Europe, and I guess Germanophone could also apply to, like, the Netherlands and whatnot, which, I mean, it wouldn't entirely be wrong in, like, terms of talking about my genealogy, but I don't know. Everyone used to speak Latin. Like, it came from Italy, yeah, but a lot of the world spoke Latin even after the Roman Empire had, like, Isaac Newton published, I can't remember. It's like Principles and Philosophy of something, but he published that in Latin, and he was English, right? Like, he was English, so a lot of people use Latin for a long time. It would be like North Africans in the future. By the future, I mean probably like maybe 100, 200 years. The people in North Africa and the Fertile Crescent and the Levant, they're going to be speaking Arabic for a long time, and as they should. Arabic's got a lot of really good reasons to use Arabic, because it kind of reminds me of Slavonic, actually, where there's this Church Slavonic, so modern Standard Arabic, the kind that's in the Quran, or adapted to a modern Quran, and then there's dialects, which Slavonic became Slavic languages, right? So Arabic is going, I hypothesize that Arabic is going to break into a bunch of different languages, right? And I mean, that's natural, but like, just as Latin broke into a bunch of languages, and Latin didn't even break into English, like English is Germanic language, right? But the conjunction with the Holy Roman Empire, Italian, German, and Latin all shared this one, like, habitation space with the Holy Roman Empire, and it made it even more widespread. So, like, a modern concept, no, but, yeah, just a lot of respect for the antiquity. I have a lot of respect for the antiquity in classical, the classical period, and then, a lot of modern history I like, and what I consider modern history is like 1600 right? So, I mean, I'm not a historical expert yet, and the reason I say yet is because I am a history major, and I'll probably pursue history in a long time, or in a long time. I'll probably pursue history for, grand swaths of time, right? Um, I'd like to I'd like to write on the effect of like language, human bottlenecking, as because so much of Europe was wiped out by the Black Plague. There was a bottleneck of dialects. There had to have been, right? I can say that confidently, and I'm sure new things were built culturally, but like girotondo, ring a ring of roses in English, or ring a ring of roses, excuse me. The things like that culturally were birthed, right? I guess the Renaissance could be seen as an effect of the Black Death, but yeah, I wanna study the sociolinguistic implications of what happened during the Black Death. I'd like to publish on that at some point. Um, but yeah, and being an expert isn't being a genius. I'm not a genius. I'll never be a genius. I don't want any. I had a friend. I've had a couple people use the word genius to describe me, and it's always meant in good faith, and like I don't mean to sit here and be like people think I'm brilliant, um because I talk in depth about the things I like, and I generally, because I do like history, science, and like culture in general, like popular culture, the popular cultures of Europe and and North America, South America, like that, and North Africa to an extent, and um so that includes a lot. That includes literature, that includes movies, that includes that includes going hand in hand with history. You learn a lot of really famous names. You learn a lot of nuances, like Carolus's Signum Magnus inspired me to make a Signum Magnus with my pen name, right? I think that's really cool. I Signum Magnus, I didn't really see. Of course, there is class implications with actually knowing how to read and write in those times, because not a lot of people were literate, but knowing how to read and write, that's largely accessible now, and I think it's a cool thing, the Signum Magnus, to try to do that. And Carolus is really really interesting. Carolus is Charlemagne, um, Charlemagne, Charlemagne. How would you say that? Oh yeah, I've gotten pretty good at speaking French too. I'm not like great. I'm probably at the beginning of the semester I was C1, like, or no, not C, not C. I wish I was C1 in French. I'm never gonna do that work though. I was probably A1, A2 level, probably A2, but I would say I have definitely like seeped into B1, right? Yeah, I'm confident I'm a B1 French speaker. um, Especially after my diction test. We do tests on diction. My professor, shout out to the guy, he's great. He's a loose cannon though. He's a hell of a guy. He's got a hell of a story. He's a great guy though. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, we do diction tests, and I'm doing pretty good at understanding the language. As before, it was like someone said anything, and I'm like, there are so many potential prepositions and ways to say things. I would have no idea how to. I have no idea how to understand someone speaking French. Now I've been exposed to a lot of French culture, like a lot of French comedy too. Which comedy, what people take for granted about comedy, I think, for learning language, like people talk about like listening to the radio and watching television. Television has a lot of really unnatural dialogue. If you get a comedian, if you get a comedian with really good crowd work from a different culture, it's actually really great to study. And then there's this guy that teaches French students English, and I use his videos. So I mean, I've put a lot of time into it. I need to do the same thing with Portuguese, because grammatically at the start of the semester I was a lot better at speaking Portuguese than I was French, but in terms of like how the difference between sounds and just the little things, I mostly am in the dark for Portuguese, but that'll come at some point. And yeah. Did I mention in a couple episodes ago? Did I mention I'm like starting to learn Romanian because I have Romanian professors? Well, yeah, that's happening. I'm taking it slow with Romanian. But yeah. So back to the thesis of the video, because I've gone back to talking about languages. Like, I mention language in every video. Like, it's impossible for me to avoid. I it's like in every paper I write, I mention class at some point. Like, I mention class disparity and the difference between peoples. Yeah, it's kind of like is what typifies a lot of what I talk about. So yeah, cycling back to what I said. So I am going to need to translate for money. You need to do something to translate. You need to do something for money. It's just the way it is. I wish I could just be surrounded by people who speak other languages and help them out and not be paid for it, do it out of the kindness of my heart, but it's not the way the world works. And learning a language does take time. Writing takes time. Making music takes time, but I'm okay to do those things for the rest of my life and not see a cent out of them. Because one, excuse me, because I'm not a perfectionist. A lot of people put a lot more time and effort into that. Whereas with language, I really am a perfectionist in a lot of ways. I want to have good grammar. I want to be able to read and write really well. I want to have a really strong vocabulary. I want to never miss a word. I want to always understand what people say. But with the other forms of art, I don't have that, right? I don't have that need. So yeah. Yeah. And I don't say all of these things like with music and everything. I don't say all of these things to be like, I am not a professional, so you should reserve criticism of me. That's not true. You should critique everything I do, right? Podcast episodes, like, if you think me clearing my throat is annoying, because I fucking think it's annoying, I promise. If you think I curse too much, if you think I stumble too much when I talk, like, or that my voice is annoying, or you think you can think anything you want, that's perfectly okay. I completely understand and welcome criticism. Now, granted, I can't change the pitch of my voice, so that's always going to be there. It's when you breach. Making content like this is how I get everything out. Like, it's how I avoid my conversations with my friends from turning into me, right? You have to talk about yourself when you're talking to people, right? It's what keeps you human. You can't completely detach yourself. But if you make everything about you and what you do, everyone does a lot, and people don't think about that, right? Everyone does a lot, but if you make everything about you and what you do, you turn into a narcissist. So this is my narcissism hour, where I get to share everything I think and believe remorseless, because there's nothing wrong with doing this. People that do these sorts of things, doing these sorts of things just like this on a casual level, it's totally fine. And people that do them with their friends, it's great. It's fun. Oftentimes it's funny, right? If I had Jacob or any of my friends sitting next to me, we'd be fucking cracking jokes. But I don't want this to be a comedy podcast. I like telling jokes, right? But, I can't sit here and give you a comedy routine. The things I crack jokes about, one, a lot of them are controversial, right? It's like, and coming from me, the joke setup and punchline, it doesn't work. Like, I don't think I could be a comedian. And I appreciate the subtlety of a lot of jokes, and I appreciate really good comedy, but, I'm not like a comic connoisseur. I don't like go out of my way to watch a lot of comedy. But, yeah, I like crack a few jokes about, Enoch Powell when talking about, like, Eric Clapton, If you know the backstory behind that, that's something, but, or crack, oh, God, fuck. See, this is why I'm not a comedian. I can't think of anything you can make a lighthearted joke about. Although the Enoch Powell stuff isn't really anything to be lighthearted about. Eric Clapton, he's just a piece of shit for that. So is Enoch Powell. I fucking hate Enoch Powell. But, you can crack a joke about the morbid too. You can crack a joke about Baton Death March, or, you look at an old map and, like 1936, you see the Congo, it's like, oh, the Belgians, the Belgians never did anything wrong in the Congo, It's like, that's like subtle comedy, But a lot of the people and the creators, a lot of better creators than I, which there are a fucking lot of, not just in terms of quality, but there are way funnier people on this app than I am, right? Like I was watching this fucking video. I think it was like CK2 or EU4, and this guy's playing as Poland, and his literacy rate was really low, and he's like, God, I wish Polish people could read. That's fucking hilarious. Like, I think I almost pissed myself laughing because of that. And, like, that's such an easy joke to make, and that wasn't even all of it. Like, there was shit that came up on screen, like, I don't do that for my videos. I roll the audio and you listen, right? Or you don't listen, you click off, you do whatever. The podcast fucking exists regardless, right? But, like, that is true entertainment, and something I could never do. And the same goes for music. Like when I play guitar, when I fuck up, I keep going. I don't restart, right? I don't sharpen that knife in any way other than practicing. I don't aim to be perfect in those, like, regards. I do practice. I practice a lot. Are you fucking serious? Like, I play probably like 30 minutes to an hour, if not more, every day. Averaged. I don't play every single day, but if I miss a day, like when I was sick, I came out swinging back when I got home, trying to make up those hours. So, yeah. But I'm not aiming to be the next great performer or entertainer, because one, a lot of my music's fucking depressing. I don't make my music depressing on purpose. It's just the timbre, and I do like that melancholic sound, but I don't try for it. It's just, it comes out so naturally because of, I play slow, I would like to get a nylon string guitar. I want to try flamenco. I would never make a flamenco song or an album because that's cultural appropriation. Making forms of rock music has cultural appropriation. There's a lot of gray areas. I don't make true, like, rock and roll. The way I make music isn't really based on any style of music. I take a lot of inspiration from slowcore, though. People modern, people past, people the blends between the two. But I'm not trying to be anything when I make music. I, I've started using the word slackercore, something I'm pretty sure doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure someone has used the word before, but I would describe my music as slackercore. DIY, it um I guess core would be like, no, hard and core in the word hardcore are separate. Core does not imply hardcore at the end of something. So like um so to be like slacker core would be like, core is heart of center, right? So slacker at the heart of, right? I guess would be like the actual language definition of that. Now what I mean to imply by that is it's DIY, it's slow, it's it's not perfectionist, it's riddled with mistakes and things like that. But it's not slacker rock because it's not rock. And I guess core has become one of these words that doesn't really mean anything, but I think if you put something in a core, you separate it from popular media, or at least that's how I see it. Like when I hear emo, like emotional hardcore, I see it separated from popular media. Now, emo did become popular, but only the pop punk side really shot mainstream. Now, like Mobo and Mom Jeans and American Football, a lot of those bands are really popular. I really like those bands and everything, but they do not lick the popularity that yeah, fuck, what was I gonna say? They do not even lick the popularity that, like, even smaller, older bands, like Metallica. Title Fight is fucking great, and they're amazing, and their new music is, or not new music, but their 2010s music is way better than anything Metallica put out in the 2010s. Like, duh, right? You think well, I guess that's 2020s, but 72 Seasons and Hardwired to Self-Destruct are not even bad albums. I would say they're just why would you listen to those albums? Like, it's good that they're still writing songs and everything. I'm glad they do that. It shows health in a band, and they do have that. Like, these bands that continue to make albums that people are like, why are you still doing this? They don't really have the merit they used to. These bands that have made classics reserve the right to make music for as long as they want to, because they gave the world something, and now they want something back by having the will to keep creating. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing at all that Metallica's still continuing to make albums, right? Are they of mass quality? Not really, but they have that right, and that right should be protected. No one has the power to stop Metallica from making new music, and no one has the power to say it's a bad thing either. People have the right to say that they make bad music now, but I mean, that also comes with a grain of salt, because a lot of these idiots that critique modern music, like a lot of these music nerd people, are fucking stupid, right? Like, I watched this guy, wasn't his name Liam or something stupid like that. I'm just kidding, alright? I love Irish names and all that stuff, but like, these people talking about coworker music and everything. Yeah, there's a lot of shit out there. There's a lot of music that fucking sucks, right? There's a lot of music that fucking sucks, right? I make some of it. Yeah, I make some of the music out there that's fucking terrible, right? Oh, shit, almost dropped my microphone. Oh. Hopefully that ASMR video wasn't too awkward, by the way. But like, I have made some music that is fucking awful, right? I'm okay to admit that. I don't have that insecurity, but like, there's a lot of awful stuff out there. But these people that just throw names out there, Like, a lot of the music that people don't like, people just, they don't have any idea what it's about, right? I, like, okay, let me put this in. Like, a lot of people point at Imagine Dragons without really having listened to a lot of their early stuff, and I can't blame them, right? With bands I don't like, which I can't really think of too many, like, right off the bat, but, like, I don't know the full story. Yeah, I don't know the full story, and I can't be expected to know the full story, but these people just throw names out there when there's a lot of stuff that does have merit out there, right? But I think there needs to be a clear distinction between people making singles, like a band having bad singles, like Evolve by Imagine Dragons. The singles for that album are not, they're not, right? I used to like Believer when I was a kid, but I can't really listen to it now because I do understand that the lyrics are corny. I'd listen to them. I hit my microphone there. Oops. I would listen to like Believer with headphones on, I guess, but I'm not gonna be like, Pain. Fuck no. Are you serious? It's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. Right? Walking the Wire. Pretty out there lyrics, right? So these people look at these singles and they see singles they don't like, and I don't even dislike these. I don't even dislike these songs. I don't even really dislike Thunder. I understand why people don't like Thunder, but you know, AJR is a good example because I don't really know much about AJR. That song Thirsty is fucking horrible. That song is awful. That song is terrible. But I'm sure deep in their discography somewhere there's a song worth writing. People talk about Coldplay. We're gonna listen to fucking, you want to talk about Coldplay, I'll talk about fucking Coldplay, right? People have called Coldplay everything from cheap Radiohead imitation to generic, and while I'm not a fan of their new music, I don't see it, you know? I understand they have a lot of, like, influence from Radiohead and everything, but yeah. Parachutes is a great album, and anyone that disagrees can fucking kick rocks, right? We Never Change, Shiver, you know, Sparks, even though Sparks is nothing against the song Sparks or anything that's in the song, it's just fucking people. People ruin the Arctic Monkeys for me, and they're really not a bad band, right? You know, people ruin Deftones for me, and they're not a bad band either. It's just these fucking people, right? Fucking people. That's what the real problem of all of this is. People that have nothing to do with the creative process think their opinion matters. People think, like, no one really thinks my opinion matters, which fucking thank God. Right. I'm so glad I can sit here and talk about whatever the hell I want, and people don't look at me like Anthony Fantano. Or, yeah, Fantano gave Brad a 10. It's a great dance album. Fantano also gave Benji by Sun Kill Moon a 9, which, fucking duh. Yeah. Like, obviously that's right. Like, if you understand Sun Kill's music, and like, you understand Mark Kozilek, and you understand that genre of music, and I sit here right now and tell you that I don't understand a lot of types of music, right? Like, not a lot of types of music, because I don't listen to genres, I don't listen to artists, I don't listen to songs, I listen to albums. I listen to songs if there are singles, right? And there are songs I do return to, but generally speaking, I'm a guy for albums, right? And there are a lot of albums I just don't get, you know, a lot of glam metal. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff I don't understand, but these people that they just can't see it, right? These people bitch over Anthony Fantano making these opinions, and it's like, he is no different to me in a lot of ways, right? Of course, there's the whole he advertises himself as the internet's busiest music nerd. Which, holy fuck, you have got to be full of yourself and your own opinions to give yourself a title like that. That would be like, the internet's busiest history nerd, or the internet's busiest science nerd. Fucking Aaron Raw talking about biblical events, and is it Aaron Raw or Aaron Raw? I love his videos and everything. I've heard people say his name. But I don't really recall. I don't watch his videos for his name. I watch his videos for the content. Talking about biblical events and biblical people and how they're juxtaposed to actual testable knowledge. That's fucking, like, it's so cool. Like to hear him debunk creationism, it's fucking cool. He's a way busier fucking science nerd than me, and I'm sure there are people out there that are, to assume you are the busiest music nerd, you're so fucking full of yourself, right? And like, you don't have to speak like you're apologizing, and you don't have to speak without conviction, but you put it out there right there. Like, when I'm talking here as an undergraduate student, I don't need to tell you, unless I get some inkling that I am giving off a different impression. I don't need to tell you that I do not come from a place of authority. A lot of the things I talk about, I come from a place of, like, knowledge base, right? Like, when I talk about language, language and everything, I come from a place of, not intense knowledge, but it's not complete oblivious bullshit that I spew into the world. It's like, it's backed in tangible evidence, and a lot of the stuff I say wrong, obviously it's not intentional, but a lot of the stuff I say that is wrong is probably because it doesn't come from, like, a modern source, because, like, okay, Story of Language by Mario Pei, right? A History of the English-Speaking Peoples Since 1900, Andrew Roberts, right? I have Reflections on Language by, what's it say, Hirschberg? The History of English, Stephen Gramley. I have a bunch of books. Doesn't mean they're going to be, it does not mean that they're going to be up to date. I have a book by Hayes. I have two books by Hayes. Modern Europe to 1870, which I don't know what he describes modern Europe as being from Christendom, which the first I ever was exposed to that word. That word's important in the scope of historical context in medieval terms, right? Christendom. So it's kind of like vague lines, and then I have Contemporary Europe since 1870. These books are old, right? They're old as in they're not modern. Encyclopedia of American History by Richard B. Morris. Like, I have a lot of books, right? I've done a lot of studying. I haven't read a lot of these books cover to cover. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of you can't read an encyclopedia fucking cover to cover. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life, right? But I have lots of books about nonfiction things. But people when they write books are susceptible to being wrong. Like, you're not, a doctorate isn't a seal that prevents you from being wrong when writing about nonfiction, right? Especially when information changes, right? So, like, and they're talking about Saurophaganax, as an allosauride species. Like, Saurophaganax was, like, a couple years ago talked about as, like, a huge allosaurid, and a lot of people were like, holy shit, that's so cool. But, new findings speculate that it could be like a sauropod, and both of those things I just said in the future could be completely wrong, right? Like, as more data and evidence comes out, what I just said, correct by today's terms, are wrong, and when I say correct by today's terms, I'm not vying for either, or I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it's an Allosaurus. My opinion is that it would be really cool in the fossil records, like, not objectively, but I think it would be cool to have this megatheropod, right? This big Allosaurid species, because I like megatheropods. I think megatheropods are fucking cool. I think they're awesome, right? That is complete opinion. Why do I think they're cool? Because they have big teeth. They're fucking scary. They're menacing. But I mean, in a lot of ways, a pack of raptors is more menacing than, and when I say pack of raptors, I mean Dakota raptors, not velociraptors. In a lot of ways, a pack of raptors is more menacing than, like a megatheropod, because a lot of megatheropods are slow and scavengers, or, whatever, right? So, yeah, I'm not vying for what I think it is, because I haven't done enough research. I'm not a geologist. I don't do taphonomy, right? I'm a geology minor because I like the geologic history of the Earth, and I guess according to my one advisor that GIS can be utilized for, utilized in a historical context, right? So there is that. But, like, it's like these armchair professors, like people talking about the LA fires and everything, people sitting on their couch like, well, I think it's this, after like Google searching. I detest that so much. Like people who go online during arguments just to do something like that. That you show no convictions by using figures. Like I see it a lot during sports debates, and like people that the MJ versus the MJ versus LeBron thing, when a lot, like, tangible evidence, like, watch games and everything, and these people don't watch games, they look at numbers. I do both. There's merit to both, right? But, like, I'm not an expert on any of these things. Yeah, I have a lot of opinion, but to sit back and be like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, no. When I do say something, it is one way or the other, right? I have it backed. I have it backed by something, right? Numbers, statistics, quotes, and things that aren't theses are not. They are not evidence because they don't imply anything. They're just numbers. You have to make those convictions yourself, right? So if I were to sit here and be like, let me think of something real quick. So I'll use something. It would be wild for anybody to say this. So, or the reason I think it would be wild is because it's totally unfeasible. But I'll look at the Volga German. I'll look at the Volga Germans, right? So if, like, whatever population after the migration, 70% of people in that region were of Volga German descent. What those numbers could imply a various number of opinions, and then you have to form your opinion around that. So if someone's like, they should be their own country because they are surrounded by Slavs and they're Volga Germans, right? And they don't belong in an assimilated society with Slavs. Okay, right? That's an opinion, right? Or they should be part of Germany. Well, it would be an extreme exclave, but I mean, okay, that's an opinion, right? These are all opinions that can be formed, but stats and figures themselves don't imply anything, right? So, I don't speak for this goes without saying that I don't speak from a place of authority from any of these things, and I feel like a lot of people that imply they speak from a place of authority. There's this one woman, she's a psychologist, where and Aaron Ra, and a lot of people there's another guy. He does like romance language. He did a video on what was it, the Syrian or the Islamic an Islamic State address to Paris or whatever. something like that, and he analyzed the French in the text, and like he has a degree in Romance languages, like that's speaking from a place of authority. But these people that are bums and all they've done is like internet research, and they don't read books, like. And it's okay to make baseless claims sometimes. There's nothing illegal about making a baseless claim, like, or just having a hypothesis, as long as you preface inference. Like I personally believe that instead of a universal language, I believe at some point most people had a common, like, they had a common phrase or sound to greet each other with, and this is like mostly baseless, but like looking at aloha versus kaikso versus halu versus shit, ni hao. And ni hao does bear some resemblance to aloha. In my eyes it bears resemblance, but that's not based on anything tangible other than I perceive there to be a similarity. And, whether that's wrong, whether that's right, hey, whatever, right? Now, if someone were to disprove that, obviously, I'd concede, whatever. But I don't speak on a place, like, I don't speak from a place of authority to make final decisions on a lot of these things. It's just opinion. But, yeah, to wrap this up, the stuff with music or perfectionism, and a lot of people who make art feel like they're owed repayment for putting the work into art. No one ever owes me any of that thing. That's why I make it not public domain. Don't steal my shit, Jesus Christ. You can sample my stuff. Feel free to sample me. If you use something I do, please, or if you do it if you write like a similar chord progression as me, or you write even the exact same chord progression as me, I write. But, I mean, I expect some honesty if you were to take something I do and give me some credit for it, right? But, I mean, same goes for writing. If I said something like proverb-esque, right? Like, if I said something that sounded like a proverb and you're like, oh my god, that's so deep. Not that that would ever happen, because I write like a child, right? Not that that would ever happen. But if you wanted to do that and you wanted to quote it, then, like, who am I to stop you? Go ahead. But, like, I make it public. I make it publicly accessible, because like no one owes me anything. I'd like you guys, to read what I write and to listen to my music, but you don't owe me liking it or disliking it. You can feel meh about it, or you can be like, this is not my thing. That's cool. Especially with reading, where if you read something and like, and you're like, wow, you sound fucking crazy. You sound deluded, right? Like in my nonfiction writing, where where I get to make the world. You're like, oh my god, you sound ridiculous. That's like, okay, right? But like, I don't deserve your money. I don't deserve your time, or I don't get to decide if what I make is worth your time. You decide how to use your time. All I can do is ask of you to give something a shot. And that's baseless. Like, that's baseless and selfish in a lot of ways, right? And selfishness is a part of the human complex, right? It's a part of who people are, and that's okay. But, like, that's baseless most of the time, because it's like, I want you to try something I made for no reason other than I made it and I would like it to be seen. I would like it to have some reach. That's not based in anything. That's not based in anything at all, right? But, like, you have just as much a right to say no, or not go the full effort and be like, yeah, I'm not. You don't have to be like, yeah, I'm gonna put all my time into analyzing every word, every sentence, everything like that. No, you decide what is worth your time. I want that to be taken away. Like on this YouTube channel, like if I started a gaming channel, that I would maybe try to make money from that, but I mean, that entertainment is, and when you make passive income by YouTube ads are a constant, right? Advertisement is constant, right? In a consumerist society, advertisement is constant. So there's that. But like when it comes to what I make, when it comes to who I am, I have no product I'm trying to sell you. I don't have any published books. I don't have any physical media. If you, and the only reason I would ever ask for anything for physical media or anything like that is if is because they cost money from me, right? And I'm not. When I put my music out there, I pay for the distribution and everything because it has not comfort, but it provides me some demographic of where people are listening from, what people are listening to out of my catalog, things like that, right? That's more in exchange of me to Spotify or me to DistroKid, me to the streaming services, than it is like me paying into the music itself. Like, listen or don't listen, that exists, right? I'm not sitting here being like, people need to pay me back in cold hard cash with real money because I pay to distribute my music. No, God, no, right? Now, I wouldn't necessarily make YouTube videos if it costed anything to put YouTube videos out there, but thankfully I don't have to do that. I wish music was like that too, right? Because, I mean, I would like a safe, accessible place where all of my stuff can be accessible, right? But, that being said, yeah, I don't have anything I want to sell you, right? If it were free to cure cancer and give everyone the cure to cancer, I absolutely would do that. Not that I'll ever do that. Don't get your hopes up. Not me. It'll be someone way cooler and way less awkward than me that does that. But yeah, like there's no product. I'm not trying to sell you snake oil here. Everything I make, everything I put out there, it's yours, right? The interpretations, the audio, the what is said, all of those things, they belong to you now, right? Not the rights. The rights are mine. I made it. That's the only concession I have for when I make things. It's when I make things are mine. They belong to me, right? And I mean that's based in selfishness as well. But like I don't want any money. I don't give me any money for that. Don't buy my shit on iTunes. If you want to do that to support me, I really appreciate that. Thank you. But don't do that. Like don't do that if you just want my stuff without supporting me. And the same goes for like Bandcamp or Bandcamp with that one album. Don't do that. Right? Don't ever pay to access my stuff, like my academic writings, all that stuff. That'll all be out there someday, right? That it'll be out there someday if you're just generally curious. Translation work, all the translation work I'm gonna do isn't going to apply. Like when I translate those the corporations, like, you know, they make a bottle of soap and they need me to translate all the effects and ingredients into different languages, like that'll be of no use to a majority of people, especially not people that like intake my content, right? It'll matter to you if you buy those soaps, but like I said, here I am right now. Those soaps, all that shit, all those things I'm going to translate for, I'm not selling you that stuff, right? I'll already get my money from the companies and everything. I'll already get my money from the people I translate for if I do interpretation work or things like that, right? I'll already get that money. Everything I put out there, everything that is public, just access it, enjoy it, right? It's just no reason to dump money on me that I don't really deserve or want. Um, honestly, it's more payment to me, your time, and your opinions. I value those things, not because I need that confirmation or that validation. I want to be genuinely critiqued, but I don't want to be hated on. Nobody wants to be hated on. I don't want you to hate things I make because I make them, or because you feel like I'm sitting here telling you that you deserve to hate my stuff. You don't deserve to hate I don't deserve for you to hate my stuff just because it exists. And that goes for all creation, right? There's no deserving of hate. There's no deserving of, stuff like that, right? It exists because it exists, right? So because I don't consider myself an author or a musician, or someone to be of place. I don't consider myself someone in a place of authority. That doesn't mean I'm free to say the most outrageous, outlandish nonsense without repercussion. It it, it means that I'm still someone that you can criticize, and do criticize me. If you have opinions that go against mine, you're free to voice those things, right? I'm not abstaining myself or my emotions from these things, right? If you say something strong about me, I might have an adverse reaction to it, but you have as much a right to do that as anybody else, right? And with anybody else, as much a celebrity or, a public figure, things like that. So, yeah, I am not trying to sell you anything, but I'm not trying to absolve. I am not trying to sell you anything, but I'm not trying to absolve myself of responsibility from the mortal coil. Critique what I do, good, bad, or things you're kind of iffy on, right? Put all that out there, or keep your opinions to yourself. That's also your choice. But yeah, I, Evan Button, am not trying to sell you any product. I'm not trying to sell you my music. I'm not trying to sell you my writing. Just as is. Thank you for listening. Take care. Thanks for listening to me rant yet again. This has been the Celestine of the Stars show. I keep wanting to call it the Evan Button show because, honestly, I still am not used to the name, but I like the name, right? The website, it's all reflecting itself. I've built myself a nice little world here, where I can escape the world, where I can escape the outer world, somewhere where I don't always have to be me. It's nice, it's comforting, it's refreshing, and well, that'll do it, folks. Thanks so very much for listening. Have what's LAB say? Have a great day, or something like that. All right, get your bearings straight.